What's up, the world? It's your boy Tommy, man. I just wanted to come in and speak real quick on this whole Lakers situation because, it is just retarded. Okay, let me state first and foremost that I'm so sick and tired of dumb people who are in positions of power, right? The first thing we need to understand is the media hates Russell Westbrook. Everybody should know this, okay? He is like Barry Bonds. He has very short answers. A lot of times they're very smart. They're very condescending. He talks to the media the same way Barry Bonds used to talk to the media. So the media hates Russell Westbrook, okay? The problem before this is that Russell Westbrook has always been too good for them to criticize. Now he's in a state where he is vulnerable. So they are just like freaking chum in the water for sharks, okay? Russell Westbrook has not been the problem. It was not the problem and is not the problem on the Lakers. The problem on the Lakers is Frank damn Vogel. He's the same guy that keeps having the same problem with no matter what players are on his team. His biggest problem is he does not stick to a rotation. Okay, and I don't know why they do this, but they do this every year. They have great players that they underutilize because they have too many great players. That is always their problem. So they'll get a bunch of good players in the offseason. They all kind of do the same thing. So at the end of the day, when one does bad, they switch. But the way they play it is, when one's doing good, they switch him. Then he'll have a bad game, and next game he won't play that much. And so you're sitting there and you're like, with Frank Vogel, he is the worst type of coach. That coach that makes you realize you can't make mistakes, right? So when he did the same thing to Kyle Kuzma last year. He was doing the same thing before that to Lonzo. No, he wasn't there with Lonzo, but with KCP and Kuzma and even THT to an extent and Caruso. It's like they'll play one game of a lot of minutes, then they won't play at all next game, and they won't play at all the next game. Now, I understand it's hard to put people around a 3 and a 4, okay? You got to have a big guy that can be able to move, and be able to shoot and spread the floor. They don't have anything like that. They have nothing like that. I've said this from the get-go. I don't know why nobody wouldn't listen to me. They should have got DeMarcus Cousins. They should have got him, right? DeMarcus Cousins would have been perfect alongside AD. But their problem is that Frank Vogel cares more about defense than he does offense. So 90% of the time, if he feels that you're a liability on defense, he doesn't let you play much. But the problem, sometimes you got to give up defense for offense. And you cannot do that if every single time a player struggles, you pull him out. Dwight Howard, I never really thought should have been starting, but I always thought he should have been starting over DeAndre Jordan. I don't know why they you're starting out DeAndre Jordan over Dwight, but Dwight does get in foul trouble early. The refs kind of have it out for him, so I can kind of see why. But he doesn't play a big. That's their biggest problem, and everybody's acting like they don't understand what the problem is with the Lakers. And it's Russell Westbrook, it's this, it's LeBron, it's AD. No, they don't have a big. They have one big on the entire team, and that's Anthony Davis. LeBron James is big enough and good enough to play it, but it's some people that's just way too tall for him, right? If LeBron can bang and he does a good job, but he can't do nothing when you're dealing with a guy like a Nurkic or Bobby Portis. Giannis he can, because Giannis is more of an athletic specimen. You can't deal with a guy like a Bobby Portis who can just go over that weak side hand and just go over your head. Or spread the floor so that they don't have so that they can pull you out of the paint. It's just a bad fit. Anthony Davis has stated he does not want to play 5. LeBron does not like playing in the post. He just likes to go there when they need him there, right? But the problem, and I'm gonna be critical of LeBron here. The problem with LeBron is that LeBron is a queen player, meaning he moves around so often in an offense that it's kind of hard for the other players to realize where they fit. Right? One play he's playing out on the wing. The next play he's playing in the paint. The next play he's playing in the shoulder, in a pick and roll. It's hard as a teammate to know where you fit when the guy is moving around all the time. And it's like you're sitting there, you're thinking in your mind, like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing right now, because I don't know if LeBron is going to be the point guard, if he's going to be the center. I don't know if he's going to be the forward. I don't know if he's going to be a three-point specialist tonight. I don't know if he's going to be driving. I don't know where I'm supposed to fit, because he changes what he does so often. So when it got to a point where I was just kind of looking at it like, this is retarded. Like, you got to be more critical of what LeBron does, because in my opinion, he's one of the problems too. It's like LeBron has to figure out where he fits and stay there. Okay, other people can't define their roles. If your role is always changing, you can't be a distributor for one quarter, then turn around and be the dunker, getting the dunker spot the next quarter. And I understand a lot of players do that. So I'm not trying to be super critical of LeBron. I understand that generally is how it works when you are a KD, a LeBron, a Giannis. That's how y'all play. But the problem is that Vogel is not a good coach. And because Vogel is not a good coach, he kind of just leaves it all up to LeBron and AD to try to figure it out. But you can't do that in the middle of the game. And yes, LeBron is smart, so he can figure it out. And he can always figure out what the defense is doing. But he's starting to figure it out too late now, and then they're getting into these deep holes that they have to climb out of all the time. When in reality, they need a big. They need to play with a big. And LeBron has stressed this since last year. But for some strange reason, Vogel thinks they're the Warriors. Okay? They cannot shoot like the Warriors. You cannot play small when all you do is brick shots. When you're playing with Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, and AD, you can't play small, because AD does not shoot the three well anymore, and LeBron is not a super efficient three-point shooter. Russell Westbrook is a terrible three-point shooter. And then who are you left with? So when Melo plays, Melo bails them out all the time, right? Because Melo is a great scorer, and Melo is quiet as kept. Melo is an all-right defender, but they are struggling without Melo right now, because they have nobody who can consistently knock down a shot. And this is the point I was trying to name all these people who love Malik Monk and was booing Russell Westbrook like morons every time he got the ball. Malik Monk is a great talent. You do not want to rely on that dude in the playoffs. And you got to see why. And I stated this on Twitter when they were talking all this stuff about Westbrook. I said, they going to break Westbrook, because no matter how mentally strong you are, when your own home team is firing you up and being counterproductive to your progression, you're going to struggle. And when you do not want to break his confidence, and they broke his confidence. He never feels comfortable. And one thing you got to have as a shooter is confidence. You cannot be sitting up there trying to guide the ball and wheel the ball in. It's going to brick harder and harder, because the more control you try to put on the ball, the less control you have. You got to learn to have muscle memory and just let it fly. Steph has had terrible games this year. I mean, he had a stretch with 5 or 6 games he's played terrible. Harden has had 5 or 6 games where he's played terrible. Nobody says anything, right? Rarely do you come across Dame was playing horrible Everybody's talking about, oh, trade Dame for Russell Westbrook. Dame was playing horrible before this game. He really was. He was playing terrible. Terrible. I literally think that Dame. I think Dame was one of the worst players in the NBA efficiency wise before he went out. His three was not falling consistently. His time, I don't think to be 100% honest, I don't think Dame was even averaging more than Westbrook at the time when he got hurt. That team was horrible. So to try to sit up there and act as if somehow Dame Lillard would be playing a lot better than what he's playing, I don't know. Dame Lillard definitely has a better fit with LeBron and AD. But once again, when you have a coach like Frank Vogel who prioritizes defense, yet he doesn't have the same energy for everybody. It seems like he just picks and chooses who he wants to attack or target for bad play, right? Malik Monk turns the ball over more than anybody I know. I mean, he turns the ball over just as bad as Russell Westbrook. Westbrook have 4 turnovers. He has 2 or 3. But because Monk shot is falling, people will be like, oh, nobody says anything. But you got to see it on full display last night against the Trailblazers. The problem is that they need to penetrate to get points, and they can't rebound. So a lot of times if they miss shots, they don't get a second shot. They get no offensive rebounds. Because they don't have no bigs. You got AD surrounded by 3 7-footers. 6'9", 6'10" guys. And you got why? Malik Monk is not gonna help you rebound, right? He can make it, he can get high. Like LeBron, J.R. Smith is a good example. Except J.R. Smith was a way better defender than Malik Monk. Okay? But Malik Monk heavily relies on Russell Westbrook, right? And people do not understand how much he relies on Russell Westbrook because they're morons. Russell Westbrook is a huge threat to drive to the basket every time he has the ball. The problem with that is majority of the time it keeps defenses honest, which gives guys like Malik Monk, THT, and their shooters more room. Carmelo Anthony. When you take Russell Westbrook out of the lineup, you saw what happened. And it was great because it was the first game Russell Westbrook missed. And you got to see how terrible their offense truly is without Russell Westbrook. It was harder for LeBron. It was harder for AD. And it was harder for Malik Monk. Why? Because nobody was there to keep the defense honest. So they kept closing out on Monk, and he could not get by anybody. LeBron had to score way more in the paint because he wasn't able to stand on the outside. Russell Westbrook draws a lot of attention. Right? Yes. Oh, they just stand in the paint and force him the three-point shot. Yes, but they still pay attention to him. So when he gets the ball, they do still have to close out on him, and they know if they close out too fast, he's going to go around them. So a lot of times they have to stay in their zone. But when you're dealing with a guy like Malik Monk, who you know can shoot, you're just going to stay close to them no matter where they go. So Malik Monk is never going to be open. And when he gets the ball, he realizes how hard it is to play when Russell Westbrook is not on the floor. He doesn't look as good. Because now he has to create for himself. Russell Westbrook is not there to create for him. So now he's a great player, but he's a great tertiary player. Like he's a great secondary player. He's not a third option. And so when I'm watching this and they're blaming Westbrook the entire year, it is driving me crazy when I'm standing there and I can show you clip after clip of Russell Westbrook standing wide open and Malik Monk dribbling for 10 minutes. I saw that over and over and over and over again, and nobody said anything. Frank Vogel. At the end of the day, when Malik Monk has more shots than Russell Westbrook, you have a problem. I don't give a shit about how hot Malik Monk can get. He's hot for a reason. He's open for a reason. Because they do not, out of anybody, they do not want Russell Westbrook to get hot because they're in trouble. They do not want LeBron to get hot and they don't want to get AD to get prime. They will live with Malik Monk beating them, which rarely happens. So yeah, he's going to look a lot better because no defense is focused on no damn Malik Monk. They're focused on stopping Russell Westbrook from getting to the thing. Because when LeBron, Russ, and AD generally play well, they generally win. Because they all do so many different things. But when you start taking the ball so much out of Russell Westbrook's hands that he can't affect the game, then after a while, he starts to just be out there for no reason. And we saw LeBron make bonehead after bonehead decisions last night. Malik Monk was horrible, and that is what happens in an offense when you don't know what the play. When you coming down the court and don't know what your players are supposed to be doing at any given time. I don't know where anybody is supposed to be because 90% of the time LeBron is never in the same spot twice. And it's like I don't know where I'm supposed to be. I don't know what I'm supposed to do because AD and LeBron are switching every other play. You turn around one play, AD's in the paint. You turn around next play, he's at the 3-point line. It's like will we run a consistent offense where people know what's demanded of them and what's asked for them and when they're going to come in the game? When GSG will play 20 minutes one game and 5 minutes the next. How do you get into any type of rhythm when that's your play schedule? So, I don't get it. I said this a million times. Russell Westbrook may not be the greatest scorer, shooter, put it that way, to ever live. But he does so many other good things that you can live with his turnovers. You got to see it last night. They were woefully out-rebounded. They had nobody else who could create outside of LeBron. Now you see why they needed Russell Westbrook. Because it's not all about how many points he scores or what his shooting percentage is. Russell Westbrook is a good player that knows how to get other people the ball. He's one of the best play creators in the NBA. But people don't respect that. They respect people like Curry who will go 4 for fucking 21 and nobody says anything. Because 3 games after this man went 4 for 21 one game, 4 for like 16 another game. Steph was horrible for almost a month. No media did any stories on it. Nobody talked about it. You know why? Because they love Steph. But Russ had the same time Steph was struggling, Russ had a 30-point game, a 25-point game, and a 22-point game. LeBron James comes back one game. They still have no chemistry because they never play with each other. LeBron James comes back from one game, he struggles. The second game back, he struggles and they don't let him play in the fourth. Then he comes back next game and they take him out in the third and don't put him back in. When he was playing okay in that game. Yeah, I think close to 10 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists in the third quarter. And you pull him out and don't put him back in so Malik Monk can score 29 and y'all lose by 30. Do you get he's scoring 29 points for a reason? That's because they're leaving him open. It's maddening. I swear for it is the most maddening thing in the world. Sit here and listen to these people talk about Russell Westbrook like he's the problem, when the problem is so many different things. And mainly, the biggest problem is, A, give Russ the ball more. Let him control the offense more. It's like, oh, when LeBron off the court, when AD off the court. No, when they're both on the court, give him the ball more. He makes better decisions sometimes than those two. Definitely more than AD. AD has no idea what he's doing 90% of the time because he's always playing with his back to the basket. So he can't even see. So majority of the time he's looking to score, and that's what he should be doing. That's what AD's position is. But if you're going to put AD in that position, you got to have somebody else who can play create. And how can I play create if on Russell Westbrook you give me no three-point shooter? The only people I got is Malik Monk, who is a dribble first, who is an ISO player, LeBron, who is an ISO player, and damn Trevor Ariza or Stanley Johnson. I got one shooter on the court, and nobody's worried about it. How do I operate in that dynamic? All he has is maybe a lob when he gets caught. And when AD doesn't come, when he comes, a lot of times he ends up stuck because he'll drive and AD will stand out at the three-point line. Like, what the hell are you doing? He's clearly driving. Go to the dunker spot so that when the big man comes over, he can lob it over top. But AD doesn't come. He'll just stand there and watch Russell Westbrook penetrate, and you got nobody to throw it to. LeBron's over in the corner. Trevor Ariza, or Stanley Johnson, or any of these other guys that are in, he has nobody to throw it to because they're not Steph Curry. They're not losing people off the ball. They're just posting up, and they got a dude on them. That's why he does well when they have Melo, Avery Bradley. That's when Russell Westbrook does his most damage. And a dunker. That means DJ. That means Dwight. When he has that lineup, Russ does well. He does really, really well. Anyways, that's all I want to say. Y'all please comment. Let me know what y'all think. But this Russell Westbrook blame is getting completely out of control for people who just do not understand basketball, and it's driving me mad. All right, y'all. Peace.